Though I didn't like 1984, I haven't finished it, so perhaps I could start it again. I did, to some extent, like Brave New World. And it's less for its writing style and more for the fact that its topic was poignant, which is to say that a pleasure-filled life where you avoid all the feelings of discomfort, all the topics of discomfort, it doesn't actually remove the fact of misery. It reminds me a bit of people who are depressed today, and before anyone says anything, I myself am depressed, but my depression is a bit different. I watched the film last night for the first time, actually, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and it really reminded me of my observations of people who are depressed today, or at least the people who I know are depressed or are going through depressing things, which is when I offer to talk to them about it, for a time they'll say yes, but they'll leave eventually. Perhaps they think that they are protecting themselves, saving their peace. But in my opinion, they're not really doing that. They're protecting their comfort. A lot of these things, these moments in our lives, these terribly depressing moments in our lives, they are incredibly uncomfortable. There is this burn when you're feeling them, when you're thinking about them, when you're talking about them. And so I understand the impulse to just not talk about it, to just never feel it, to just never think about it. But that's a bad impulse. Do not heed that impulse as much as possible. My philosophy is instead, you have to sit with these uncomfortable things and process them. Yes, they're uncomfortable, but incorporating it in your daily life, these uncomfortable topics, these conversations, in fact, they will lessen in discomfort. It's not to say that the discomfort will disappear, but that is to say that the burn that was once hellish becomes more like an ant bite over time. The burn weakens. It doesn't disappear, but it weakens. Someone who thinks about these things all the time, these uncomfortable things, it'll discomfort them less when it does strike them. When that depressing thing that you cannot avoid strikes you, if you never sit with that feeling, if you run away from it constantly, when it does strike you, and it will, it paralyzes you to an extent. Because you're not used to being touched by it. You avoid it so much that when it does hit you, you don't know what to do. But someone who at least experiences it in diluted amounts or in full all the time, when it does strike, it's just there. You felt this discomfort. You can feel it again. I think that's better than actually avoiding these things. Keeping your peace is not really keeping your peace. It is sticking your head in the sand, avoiding the emotional burden that comes with being human, that comes with being alive. You will feel these messes of sadness and phobias, and you can't just forget the bad thing. You can't just avoid the bad thing. You have to sit with it. And I know that's a very sad thing to hear at times, especially when these topics are truly uncomfortable to you. But they're only that uncomfortable because you don't sit with it. If you sit with it often, or at least slightly more than you do now, if you let yourself sit with it for hours or days or weeks or months, when it comes at you again, it won't hurt as much. When people ask me if I've moved on from this or that, I say yes. And they're always like, why? How? What? And I'm like, my mind is not spotless. There are spots that are missing because I forget. That's a trauma response, I suppose. But it's not a sunless place, just like it's not a sun-filled place. It is a place with dark sides and bright sides. And forgiveness is only possible because I've sat with discomfort. And all of these things, they're not avoidance anymore. I can't avoid them, and I shouldn't avoid them, and that's why you shouldn't either. That's not to say that you should forgive the bad people, but you should process the bad thing rather than run away from it. And I'm saying that as someone who ran away from it for years, who ran away from it so bad that when it finally caught up to me, I was hospitalized and dissociated. I didn't know what I did, and I wouldn't have done it if I was me, if I had just sat down with this feeling that I was running away from. Because depression often is a compounding problem. There's not just one source of why you feel terrible. There are so many different sources, and they all make you feel terrible. And perhaps they make you feel terrible in different ways, and you have to process them. It's not like this knot and you'll find the source and you'll pluck it out and it'll be gone. No, it is an entire bag full of things that you need to unpack. You can't just hide them away. You can't just sweep them under the rug. You have to grab these things and deal with them, because no one else will deal with them for you. You have to be that mess of sadness and phobias. You can't just forget things.